You're not crazy. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you either. The price of eggs feels like gold now, and the gas meter has hit the fire limit. Yet more than half of Americans today are struggling to cover an unexpected $500 expense. For the same lifestyle, the same groceries, the same bills, every family now spends an average of $11,000 more per year. This isn't an accident. It's a planned reality, a perfectly engineered system where stability means merely enduring. The government says jobs are up, but in reality, 1 in 3 people now works multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. And 46 million people now rely on food stamps to survive. Yet they still say the economy is strong. No, it's not strong. It's quietly slipping away from under your feet. The strangest part? They want you to think it's your fault. You open a cereal box, it's not as full as before. A bag of chips is half air, half deception. This isn't coincidence. It's a new strategy, shrinkflation. Doritos weigh less. Orange juice bottles have thinned out. And the prices? The same, or even higher. The government says prices haven't risen. True, only the quantity has shrunk, meaning you're paying more, getting less, and they call it a stable market. Since 2019, about 70% of packaged goods in the U.S. have gotten smaller. Bread goes stale faster, fruit spoils quicker, and canned food is filled with fillers instead of protein. At the self-checkout, your coupons don't work. The teenager behind you tries to buy school lunch, but his EBT card doesn't have enough balance. This is the new face of America, where hunger and shame walk side by side. By the end of 2025, more than 44 million people are expected to face food insecurity. Many of them work full-time jobs, yet food has become a luxury. Eating out is out of the question. Even putting food on the table is a struggle. Meanwhile, Kraft Heinz, Nestle, and other corporate giants are making record profits. Wall Street cheers, and the media says the economy is booming. But on the streets, people quietly understand. The middle class is now history. What remains is just a mirage, a fragile mask built on credit, debt, and despair. The average credit card balance has hit nearly $8,000. That doesn't even include buy now, pay later debt, which 46% of young people use regularly just for food and gas. The American dream? Now it's a joke. People can't buy homes, they're taking out credit to buy paper towels. 61% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. Unbelievably, even nearly half of those earning $100,000 a year are in the same position, because the cost of living is rising faster than income. Average rent has hit $2,900, home prices around $430,000, and health care about $13,500 per person per year. Forget retirement, 1 in 3 people has no savings at all. Meanwhile, the rich keep getting richer. The top 10% now own about 70% of the nation's wealth. On the tombstone of the middle class, it reads, "Here lies the dream we were sold, but could never afford." And still they say, work harder, live better, budget more, as if patching a torn boat could stop a storm. No, this isn't fate. It's an economic war. One fought in boardrooms, spreadsheets, and the quiet despair of ordinary people. When you stand at the self-checkout in a supermarket, you scan a coupon, but the system says invalid. Behind you stands a teenager holding a sandwich and a bottle of milk, a look of discomfort on his face because his EBT card has no balance. This scene is the reflection of today's America, a country where food insecurity has become the new normal.
By 2025, around 44 million people are expected to face hunger, up from 33 million just 2 years ago. Most of them have jobs. Some even work 2 a day. Yet 3 meals a day have become a kind of luxury. Eating out is out of the question. Now surviving in your own kitchen has become a daily battle. Meanwhile, corporate giants like Kraft Heinz and Nestlé are making higher profits than ever before. Their reports show record earnings, and Wall Street is celebrating. The media says the economy is strong, but the truth, people's lives have become weaker. To be honest, the middle class won't disappear. It already has. We're just clinging to its memory, like a mirage held up by credit and debt. The average family now carries about $8,000 in debt just on credit cards, and that doesn't even include buy now, pay later debts, which have become a new lifeline for the younger generation. Nearly half of Gen Z now regularly uses these programs just to pay for groceries and gas. There was a time when people said, a house, a yard, and 2 kids, that's the American dream. Now people are taking loans to buy toilet paper and peanut butter. A study by Lending Club found that 61% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck, including nearly half of those earning over $100,000 a year. Why? Because wages crawl like a turtle, while the cost of living runs like a racehorse. Rent for a small apartment is now about $2,900. If you want to buy a home, the price is around $430,000, and even with a mortgage, the monthly payment can reach $2,800. That is, if you're lucky and interest rates are low. This is the reality of modern America, where hard work doesn't mean success, it just means survival. When it comes to health care, the weight of this system becomes clear. An average American now spends over $13,000 a year just on medical costs, double that of most developed nations. And still, hospital bills terrify people, because having insurance doesn't mean safety, it means new debt. Meanwhile, the government says invest, save for retirement. But in reality, 1 in 3 adults has $0 in their savings account. Zero. At the same time, the wealthy keep multiplying their assets. The top 10% now own nearly 70% of the nation's total wealth, up from 60% just a decade ago. And the rest? They're slowly fading, the class once called middle. What remains is only a memory, a shadow of an old American dream whose gravestone might read, "Here lies the dream we could never achieve." Still, people are told, work harder, save more, follow your budget, as if by scrolling through coupons on an app and calculating every cent for hours, you could somehow fix a broken system. But this isn't a game of fate. It's an economic war, fought in boardrooms, behind Excel sheets, without your consent. You didn't choose this war, you were born into it. Your labor, your time, your sweat, all are being quietly taken from you. You're told to be patient, but that promised someday never comes, because the system was never built to let it come. You're running, but there's no finish line. You're working, but not moving forward, because the economy no longer works for you, it works on you. The wealthy don't worry about inflation, because they have assets, stocks, land, and influence. When prices rise, the value of their possessions also rises. But you sell your only commodity, time. Once it's gone, it never comes back. And every time the government prints another $1 trillion, the value of your time slowly diminishes. They call it stimulus. You call it survival is getting harder. Your salary is the same, but expenses have doubled. Your savings don't grow, but bills increase. You work harder, but the value of money decreases. This is the silent tax. You don't even notice it because they're not taking anything from your wallet. They're taking the value of your money itself.
The scariest part? People don't even know how it works because no one taught them, and they don't want you to know. As long as you believe this is normal economics, you won't protest. So they keep you busy with politics, gossip, and distractions, so you don't see the real picture. The value of your dollar decreases by about 10% every year. And when someone questions it, they say, "Do you believe in conspiracy theories?" But this isn't a conspiracy, it's history. Since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, the purchasing power of the dollar has fallen by about 97%. What $1 could buy then now costs around $30. So, what's surprising? The previous generation could support a family with one job, and now you're gasping to breathe with 3 jobs. They say this is progress. No, it's not progress. It's a subtle robbery, happening in the name of paper money and policy, and you're trapped inside it. You think your income is rising, but in reality, it's just chasing currency devaluation. They say, look, your annual salary is now $60,000. But the truth is, what you get now is worth about 15% less than in 2019, meaning they're not paying you more, they're buying your labor at the same old undervalued price. This is the new form of modern slavery. There are no iron chains here, only chains of debt, ropes of inflation, slowly binding you in an endless cycle. You live on credit cards because there's nothing left in your hand at the end of the month. And then they blame you. You can't manage expenses. But the truth is, the whole game is rigged so that you lose and they win. They profit from every crisis, be it the 2008 recession or the 2020 lockdown. You lose your job, they get the bailout. You lose your home, they buy it at half price. You lose hope, they build an empire. And now they're doing something bigger, gradually moving us into a new era where money itself will be in digital captivity, called CBDC. They'll say it's a step for the modern age, fast and secure transactions, but in reality, it's the final stage of your freedom. CBDC means every purchase you make will be recorded. Every move you make will be tracked. And one day, if you say something they don't like, they can shut down your account with a single click. No trial, no court, nothing needed. Just one button and your life stops. They'll say cash is old, unnecessary. But cash was the last symbol of freedom, keeping you at least partially unknown to the system. Now they want you fully dependent on their servers, their currency, their policies. This process has already begun. China launched the digital yuan, Europe is working on the digital euro, and the US is quietly advancing FedNow. You might think it's technological progress, but in reality, it's a new chapter of control. Imagine one day you criticize a government decision, and the next day your banking app won't open. You think it's a technical issue, but the system says your social score is insufficient. You might think this is a movie plot, but in China, it's already a reality. And if we remain silent, that future isn't far off here either. They want cash eliminated, crypto banned, and every dollar tied to your digital ID. Then they won't just know what you buy, they'll decide what you can buy. Exceeded your carbon limit? Then maybe you can't fuel your car. You're buying too much meat? Your card will say declined. That's the direction they're pushing us toward. And the media? They'll keep you distracted with politics, celebrities, culture wars, and division. As long as you're busy arguing, you'll never see the truth. Every year, a new fear appears. A virus, a rumor of war, an election, or a climate disaster. It might seem harmless, but there's always a purpose behind it. Because fear is the most effective tool of control. When people are afraid, they choose safety over freedom. They think the government will protect us. But history has shown again and again, once you give up freedom, you never get it back. Once power becomes centralized, it never returns. They'll say, we're doing this for your own good. But in reality, control over you is their true goal. For our generation, this isn't a conspiracy story. It's reality.
Now people aren't chained by RN, but by policies, apps, and permissions. Everything comes in the name of convenience, and you're slowly losing control over your own money. You think, I live on the money I earn, so how did I lose control of my own wealth? They laugh, because that was the plan all along. So the question is, what can be done? First, you must understand you have power. But they've made you believe since childhood that you're powerless. They've built an education system that teaches government as protector, when in truth, the government serves those who run the banks, control the markets, and designed the economy for their own gain. As long as you play their game by their rules, you're nothing but a pawn in their hands. If you truly want change, you must build your foundation outside their system. Economic freedom isn't the privilege of the rich, it's the strength of the aware. You can start small. Understand your spending habits, get out of unnecessary debt, learn new skills that will generate future income. The biggest mistake we make is thinking money equals wealth. But real wealth is your time, your knowledge, and your freedom. The day you lose control of those three, you become a slave in every sense. So it begins here, by realizing that the system isn't designed for your good. It's designed to exhaust you, to make you adapt, and to keep you from ever asking questions. The second step, diversify your income routes. Relying on a single paycheck means your life can be shut off with one switch. Start a side hustle, learn a skill, build something on digital platforms, or learn to invest. The more income streams you open, the less control they'll have over you. The third step, rely on things whose value is decided by people, not governments. Land, skills, tangible assets, or the ability to produce for yourself. Because paper money fades, but knowledge and real assets last. Then, build your own network with people who understand what's happening, who ask questions, who are awake. Because one person alone can be broken easily, but united people cannot be stopped. That's why they keep us divided by religion, politics, race, ideology. They want us to see each other as enemies. So we never realize who the real enemy is. You think the person with a different opinion is your opponent, but in truth, both of you are being exploited by the same force. They ask, are you right or left? But the truth is, both sides are two faces of the same coin, and the coin itself is in their hands, the ones who hold the real power. Now they are digitizing their coin, building a future where every transaction is tracked, where you spend, whom you pay, everything stored in their databases. They'll say, it's for your convenience. But what it really means is you'll never be able to step outside the system again. They want a world where you own nothing, and yet you're told you are happy. They call it a sustainable future. But in truth, it's a new kind of slavery. But it's not over yet. As long as you are aware, there is still an opportunity. Now is the time to decide, will you remain a slave of this system or fight for your own freedom? Your first weapon is knowledge. The more you understand how this entire system works, the better you can find alternatives. Your second weapon is choice. Every day you vote with your money, who you support and who you don't. Are you filling the pockets of corporate giants who sell your freedom? Or are you supporting small ventures struggling to survive? Do you still keep money in banks that sell your data? Or are you considering decentralized systems where control is in your hands? Every decision you make shapes the kind of future you will have. They want you to believe you can't change anything. But history changes with the courage of one person saying, no. No, I don't believe in a society where hardworking people go hungry. No, I don't believe in an economy where banks survive while people drown. No, I will not remain silent while they drown the next generation in debt. If millions of people start saying no together, no one can stop us. That's why they fear. They fear our power to awaken, because once we realize, their system will collapse. Have you noticed that every year a new story of fear emerges? A virus, a threat of war, or fear of elections in the environment? The real purpose of this fear is one, to keep people trapped in uncertainty. When people are afraid, they trade their freedom for safety. They think, it's okay, the government will take care of us. But history says, once you lose freedom, it cannot be regained. Slavery has changed forms in this era. Now it's not chains, but screens, apps, and policies. They say, these are for your convenience. But have you ever wondered how your own money slipped out of your control? That's the real strategy, to make you dependent so you play by their rules willingly. If you think, what can I do alone? Then you are mistaken. The power is within you, the power they've tried to weaken for years. Governments are not really for the people, but for those who run banks, who hold the strings of markets and currency. As long as you remain trapped in
Health
their
insurance
system,
doesn't protect
you
you.
cannot
It delays
win.
your financial
So
death.
start anew.
And if you're
Put your
uninsured,
money,
good
time,
luck.
and knowledge to
One
work for
ambulance ride
yourself.
can cost
You don't need to be
$2,500.
rich to be wise.
One
Start
ER
small.
visit without insurance
Understand your spending,
between
reduce debt,
$3,000 to
and learn skills that
$7,000,
free you from
even if
dependence.
nothing serious
True
is
wealth
wrong.
is your time,
Prescription
your
drugs,
knowledge,
don't
and
get
your
me
freedom.
started.
Lose
Americans
these
pay
three,
2 to
and your
3
slavery
times more for the
begins.
same medications
So
you
the
can
first
get in
step
Canada
is
or
awareness.
Europe.
Realizing
Insulin
that this system
costs
isn't designed for your
$35 in
well-being,
France.
but to
In
exhaust
America,
you and make you replaceable.
$275 per vial.
The second step,
But here's where
create
it gets
multiple
darker.
income sources.
Hospitals and
A side
clinics are now
job,
owned by
online
private
business,
equity firms.
freelancing,
That
or
means
investments.
their primary goal
The more
isn't
paths you
healing,
open,
it's
the
profit.
less they can
That's
interfere
why
in your
billing
life.
departments are bigger than nursing
The third
departments.
step,
That's why
invest in
procedures are
real
chosen based on
assets,
profitability,
things that cannot be
not
printed.
effectiveness.
Land,
That's why nearly
gold,
100 rural
skills,
hospitals
food
closed in the
production.
last 3 years
When
because
paper money
saving
collapses,
lives wasn't
these remain.
cost-effective. Even
Another
primary
critical
care
step,
is collapsing.
unity.
The U.S. is
Find
facing a
like-minded
shortage of up
people,
to
because one person
124,000
alone cannot
physicians
bring
by
change,
2034,
but a united
according
group
to the
cannot be
AAMC.
suppressed.
Wait times are exploding.
They always want people
If you need a new
divided
patient
by
appointment with a
religion,
specialist, be ready to wait
politics,
4
race,
to 9 months
gender,
in most cities.
because
Meanwhile,
once we
insurance
unite,
companies
their
rake in
walls of
billions,
power will
and
crumble.
Health execs make $20
You may
million
think your enemy is
salaries
someone
while
with an
denying
opposing
coverage
view,
for chemotherapy,
but in reality,
mental
the
health,
same
and
force
emergency
exploits
surgeries.
both of you.
So if you're wondering
When they
why
say
you still
stand
feel
right
sick,
or left,
tired, and
remember,
anxious all
both
the time,
sides are two
it's
faces
because
of the
system
same
was never
coin.
built to
And
heal
the
you.
question is,
It was
who
built to
holds
harvest
the
your
coin?
suffering for profit.
Now they're
And the more
digitizing
broken
that
you are,
coin
the more
so that your
valuable you become.
transactions,
That's not
purchases,
healthcare.
and even decisions
business
are
model with a
tied to
body
their database. They
America
will say
isn't
it's for
collapsing
your
someday.
convenience.
It's
But the
collapsing
truth
right
is,
now.
they want a world
and no
where
one's
you
in charge.
own nothing. And
You're
they'll
not
tell
imagining
you
it.
you will be happy.
Chaos you feel every time you
That's
open
their
your banking
idea
app,
of a
swipe your
sustainable
card,
future.
check your inbox,
But in reality,
or scroll the
it's
headlines.
modern slavery.
That's not noise.
Yet there's still
That's
a
the
chance.
system unraveling
Wake up,
in real time.
understand how the
America
system
isn't
works,
approaching
and
collapse.
decide,
It's
will you
in
remain its
collapse right
slave
now, and the
or
terrifying
become
part is,
free?
no one is actually
Silence
in
now
charge.
means
Look
consent.
around. Every
You may
institution
think,
that's
I'm just
supposed to
an
be keeping
ordinary
things
person.
together is either
But
asleep at the
history
wheel
shows
or deliberately
every
pushing the
revolution
gas.
began with
Congress,
ordinary people.
A circus of
If
lobbyists,
today you stand for your
billionaires, and
family's
aging
future,
politicians
that's
who
enough.
haven't bought groceries
They
in
want you to
30
give up.
years.
But the fact
Fed
that you're still
raising
here
interest rates
means you're
to fight
still
inflation
resisting.
caused by
And
corporate
that's
greed
what they
and
fear the
broken
most.
Logistics.
They can
not
buy your
wages.
time,
And your state
steal your
government,
attention, but they
drowning
can't
in
take your
paperwork,
soul
lawsuits,
unless
and shrinking
you
tax
give it
bases.
away yourself.
No one's steering this ship.
Open your eyes,
It's on autopilot.
learn what's
and the
happening,
GPS broke
and
2
help
elections
others
ago.
see it too.
The signs are everywhere.
Because one day your
Trains are
child will
derailing.
ask,
Water
what did
systems
you
are
do
poisoning
when the
entire
world was
towns.
changing?
Bridges are
And
collapsing.
may you be able to
Over
say,
43%
I wasn't
of US
silent,
roads are rated
I
poor
fought.
or mediocre.
This
and 1
is the
in 3
generation
bridges is
that will
functionally
either
obsolete.
build a free future
Entire cities
or
like
make
Jackson,
slavery
Mississippi, or
permanent.
East Palestine.
The choice is yours.